What's up, everybody? Now it's the preview show for the games on the weekend. This is 1907 or the 1907 show. We haven't decided yet. I'm Steve. This is Zach. I'm going to talk about Liverpool and Brighton, and Zach is going to talk about Chelsea and Manchester United.
Yeah,
So,
who we
good.
we both love to hate. I mean,
Yeah. We're all, it's a sad day. R.I.P. Erik Ten Hag. Eris,
R.I.P. R.I.P.
you got to play some
But you
sad
know
music
why it
there.
happened. You can only have one bald Dutch manager in the league at
Yeah.
a time, and
Yep. There can
yeah,
be only one.
yeah.
Sorry. So looking ahead to Brighton, we have Diogo Jota is out and Chiesa is
Is
out.
there clear what happened to him? I still haven't seen, but did he have a broken rib? I was just curious because
No, I can't. I don't know exactly, but whenever it happens because of the stupid international break, they're always like, "Oh yeah, he won't be back for the international break." So like that exasperates it because
yeah.
none of us like to risk our players at the
Of course.
international break. And so if they're injured at all, they automatically push it out past that every time.
Yeah.
So it's dumb. It is what it is. So our squad's feeling a little thin. I know Ryan Gravenberch for the EFL game, he was given a night off, not even with the club. He was like at a restaurant with his girl. Like she posted on Instagram him like watching the game while he's at dinner with her. But I think it's pretty cool. He was given a night off just to like completely recharge and free his mind because Slot is huge on keeping on top of this stuff. By the way, fun fact: both Pep and Klopp would have all the players stay in a hotel the night before home games. And Slot changed that. He said, no, if it's a home game, go and be home with your family.
Yeah.
So little things like that, I always pay attention to. I remember, I think it's Ranieri with Leicester back in the day when they won, whenever they would win, he would buy him pizza. So I was just thinking about you talking about
Yeah, we
Maresca letting Cole
honestly,
Palmer have fun. I,
yeah.
these top managers, they know the motivation trumps everything. And so it's
But
like if you can figure out what to motivate your players, that's the key.
Yeah, but this and something else jumped out to me. I lived in the Netherlands for 5 months.
Mm.
The Dutch people are extremely like proud of you live to work, you don't work
Yeah.
to live.
Yeah.
This is their mindset, of course, very critical of Americans who live to work instead of work to live. But just in general, they're very big on this idea and just
Right.
having a balanced life and having a home life separate from the work life.
Right.
Look, I ain't good at this. This is not my forte. Like I'm
Right.
horrible, and I feel like
Yep.
Maresca's in the camp of me like all
Yep.
the time, but
Yep.
maybe not with his teammates. But I noticed that with Slot, where on the international break, he was talking in a press conference like he didn't think about football at
Yeah.
all. He didn't
Smart.
think about any of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do you managing
Yeah.
Liverpool?
Yeah.
Take a week off and legitimately not think about football or the team or the next match.
It's
But this is
super
so
work
big for him for
smarter, not
resetting
harder.
the brain,
Yeah.
clearing out the brain. So it's big. And then that comment he made about or that
Yeah.
information which I saw also. I think Curtis Jones was asked about it at one point, and
Yeah.
he said, "Yeah, it was great. You know, of course, I had a different room, separate room because of the young baby, but it's, you know, people are going to appreciate that. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah, especially
if
when you
they're
just
not
have
like
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's
No, no,
really
no.
smart.
That's just great, and I think it's a work smarter, not harder thing. Side note, I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for 16 years, and there's a huge Dutch community there in Grand Rapids and Holland, Michigan, and they're not known for that. They're known for Dutch work ethic, and
Ah,
basically just like it's their yep, I'm a Dutch guy, good old Dutch boy, blah blah blah, blah, which is really kind of funny. It's kind of messed up. So, but I do think it's smarter, not harder. Somebody who's rested mentally, emotionally, you get recharged. I mean, it wears on you. You can burn out so easy giving 100%, being depressed, especially if you're dropping points. And so to be able to be around your family, I think it just puts everything in the right place. So, yeah, that's kind of a huge deal. Brighton, it's a tough game for us because it's one of
this
those
is not
games.
a tough game. You're gonna destroy them.
This is a game we're expected to win, which means
Uh,
all the pressure's on us. But let's look at the last head to heads
oh my.
in the Premier League. The last game of the Premier League, we beat them 2-1. The game before that, we drew 2-2. The Premier League game before that, they beat us 3-0. The Premier League game before that, we tied them 3-3. So win, tie, horrible loss, tie.
Well,
So this is a
that was
team.
De Zerbi. That was different.
Yeah. Let me look on this 2-1 win that we had against them. Diaz and Salas, so class. Welbeck scored in the second minute. And just kidding, we killed them. 2.83 XG to 0.45 XG. Okay, so hopefully it's like that. But yeah, for me, it feels like a rubber skin game. We, rotated a lot of people for the game that was just played. I hope we kill them. I'm going to say, after looking at what we did the very last game, they don't park. They play out. I think Slot's better at possession than a lot of these guys that try to do it. I'm going to say 3-0 tomorrow after looking just at the stats.
Yeah, well, I have the advantage that we already played Brighton, and Hertzler, the German coach, great coach, but he's been very stubborn about playing a very high line, and we ate them apart. Like it could have been like 6-1 or something. We just constantly were breaking their line because if you have the quality players to do it, it's like they're inviting you to come score on them. And
so Real Madrid couldn't do it.
So yeah, Mbappe would only be half an inch offside, but yeah, no, I think with the quality of players Liverpool has, how smooth and seamless you guys are in attack, I think you're going to destroy them personally. My only question is, like, Hertzler has talked a little bit about, learning in this league how difficult it is to do that. And I think he saw against Chelsea, like he was humbled by the Chelsea. He didn't have the easiest press conference after that match, and he sort of seemed like he might have learned a lesson. Like he might decide against bigger teams with more quality to not be so risky. So I'm curious to see if he does adjust to tactics against Liverpool. But on the other side, like if that's what you've been doing all season, how do you get your players to do something else well?
They beat Spurs after they played you guys and lost, and then they beat Newcastle, and then they tied Wolves.
But those are teams where luck of Liverpool's a different thing. So yeah. I'm just curious to see if he comes into the match against Liverpool and decides, okay, we can't be as risky because we're gonna get embarrassed, or if he just says, okay, we'll play our hand. And I don't know. I just think I think with the way they play and the dramatic difference in quality of players, Liverpool's going to have an easy weekend.
They have a never say die attitude though. Like we just played them in the Carabao Cup, and they brought on more of their top brass near the end of it, and it's like they kept getting back into the game. Like it ended 3-2. It should have been like 3-0, but there's just something about that team. They know they can score. And that's really, it just makes it a nervous watch. Hopefully we can kill the game. If we can kill it versus them, I'll be very impressed though. Because they're hard. They go hard.
I love Welbeck. I hope Welbeck gets a hat trick. But really, how are they going to hurt you? Who's going to hurt you?
Matoma and Welbeck.
I mean, really?
Welbeck's like old faithful, man. He's like old reliable guy now, and it's just like give him a goal, make a mistake, make a defensive error, give him a goal. Hopefully not though.
Arsenal got 2 goals on you, Chelsea got 1, and then there's 2 others spread throughout the rest of the matches. Like, I'm sorry, I don't see the Brighton team. But who played in the Carabao Cup match against Brighton on your defense?
Kwanzaa, who had a mare, and Gomez, who was solid.
Yeah, so you're gonna have your normal guys in there.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be Van Dijk and Konate.
And they're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to have hope from the Carabao Cup. Oh, look, we can fly with them. We can compete. We don't have to change our game plan, and they're going to get destroyed because they're not going to be able to get through Konate and Van Dijk, and they're not going to have, and they're going to get destroyed by your attackers. I'm saying 3-0 is going to be kind to
That's funny.
Brighton. I would say it could even be a 4-5-0 game.
Well, it's funny because we just came off 2 tough games, and for me, it's all about the psychology of it. Like, and I think the psychology going into this game, it's a little weakened than before Chelsea. Because before that, it was like steamroll, steamroll, steamroll. Ooh, team actually challenged us. And then, man, we could have lost versus Arsenal. We were behind twice. So I could see it going either way where we're like, phew, we're done playing these super teams. Kill them. Or it's like, oh, maybe now we're not sure. So it's really just going to be a mental test.
Okay, my last comment on it then. This is the one opening where I would give Brighton a chance, and it's not either of those things. It's once you've had great challenges and overcome them, and then you have a smaller challenge. It's extremely easy in sports to just get a little bit complacent, and this happens all the time in all kinds of sports. I mean, soccer as well, tennis, which I followed a lot. It's hilarious. Like if a player beats one of the big three in a tournament, they almost always lose the next match because they're sort of worn out mentally, physically, but also like there's a kind of, oh, I'm this good, there's a kind of complacency, a kind of arrogance that builds in, and it's very easy to be a little complacent and arrogant against Brighton, in my opinion, because you're like, okay, we got past Chelsea, we got past Arsenal, Brighton, that's going to be easy, so you can take it off. You can get a little easy. And the one thing I've seen with Slot versus Klopp is, Klopp always had you guys like,
the next game's most important. We're going to die.
Yeah, he's like the constant hype man who somehow like is always able to hype the team up.
Yep. It's exhausting.
Whereas Slot's calm demeanor, I think sometimes calms you guys down a little bit too much.
Yep.
And I could see a case where you come out a little bit complacent. Oh, we just beat them midweek with our second team. And they surprise you. So that's the sliver of hope, the 1% chance I'll give Brighton.
Yeah, I think that's really insightful. You can do the super pump up game. It's at Anfield, by the way. You can do the super pump up game, but it comes at a cost. Like people can only we were worn out at the end of the year. Whereas Slot's way, which has the potential con of being lackadaisical, hopefully if you're top professionals, it's just more sustainable. It's more sustainable to be calm and cocky than it is to be pumped up like every game's a Champions League final.
Yeah. And just, a word, we could drop a note to our sponsor, Vitamin Water, who,
Yes, Vitamin Water!
Yeah, Vitamin Water, to see, the potential we have after one episode. So we'll just talk for 5 minutes about how much we love Vitamin Water and how they're a real sponsor who really gives us money and is not a fake sponsor at all to try to drum up sponsorship. No. Anyway, joking aside, let's jump to Chelsea Manchester United, which I think is the game that everybody's talking about this week because of Manchester United, obviously.
Losers, man.
I don't know. We can just let's give a moment background. We grew up in the 90s.
Yep.
80s and 90s, but the 90s more as we were, older.
Yeah.
And Manchester United was dominant, and I absolutely hated them. Like, they're my least favorite team ever since then because they were just this dominant, annoying team with players I didn't like. And, there was an arrogance about them and kind of like, oh, we're the best, And
And they were
quite hilarious how far they've fallen. There's so many people in that same boat. I don't know if you're in the same. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah, no, because there were so few channels in America that had any soccer on it. They were one of the only teams you could kind of consistently watch, and so I remember back in '99, they were like my favorite team, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was my favorite player.
What?
Yes.
Oh, you see, I didn't even watch matches. I just I don't know.
No, I watched them in the Champions League, and I watched them the treble year. I graduated class in '98, and '99, that's when they won the treble, and it was just like they would always figure out a way to win, and I love that. I love figuring out a way to win, and it's it was called Earthquakes at Old Trafford, all this stuff. But I didn't have access to any channels, and so between then,
well, you had more than me.
Yeah,
I know. I remember you had some friends Did you watch it at your house or with your friends?
I don't even remember all that I would do. I would do anything I could. ESPN used to show the Champions League games, and then I would go and watch. I don't know how I'd watch Premier League highlights, but somehow I followed them. Probably I
I
was
think you had
just the
some rich
fruit of their
friends. If I
machine.
recall correctly, you had some rich friends who had some kind of special access channel or something, and it was not
Yeah.
normal at all. I mean, in the U.S. in the '90s, look, people, there was no streaming. There was
Yeah.
nothing. You
Yep.
couldn't watch a game just because you didn't. You just couldn't. So you could watch highlights. You could follow. I mean, I don't even know how we watched highlights and stuff, but anyway, you could and you follow what was happening somehow. I don't even remember how,
Yeah.
but anyway, so I'm shocked because I thought you were Liverpool from the beginning, and
Mhm.
Liverpool people have hated Manchester United since before we were born.
Right.
Like
Yep.
this goes back a long ways. So how did
Yeah.
that transform for you then? And
Well,
is it now one of your least favorite teams, or do you actually not hate them because of those formative years?
yeah, it's complex. I think that their team's absolute trash. They've let their facilities go. If you look at what Zlatan and Ronaldo both said about the club, they basically say how bad the club is. Those American owners are like famous bad American owners that really don't care about the club. The club's too big to fail. It's a really big business and it's so commercial and it's got so many revenue streams that there's no competitiveness. So I utterly hate them, everything about them. I've literally seen players go there and die. They're trash. I think they're evil. They're literally the Red Devils. I swear Google went through and deleted their. It used to say that their club was bought for $666 million. I know I did not make that up, and now you cannot find it anywhere online. I think they literally paid to have Google remove it. I'm not even kidding when I say
Oh
this.
my gosh.
Super deep. The flip side, the flip side is Sir Alex Ferguson, who is a Scottish guy whose book on leadership, Harvard hired him to teach a class on leadership, and there's a book generated from that called, I think, Leadership. I own the book. It's amazing. If you hear his insight, it's absolutely brilliant. What it comes down to is psychology. He's a master of that, and also just really making tough choices and knowing that they're not all going to be right, but a leader makes choices. And he really comes from a long line of famous Scottish managers. He was following in the footsteps of Bill Shankly, which is the famous Liverpool manager. He was the first Sir Alex type manager. So right now, a manager is a huge part of a team. It wasn't always like that. Bill Shankly was the guy that made it like that. And after Bill Shankly, who was Scottish, was Bob Paisley, who was Scottish, who's won a ridiculous amount. Look him up. And so Ferguson said he was trying to be like him. And also Ferguson knew and even used to ride in the car on the way with Sir Kenny Dalglish, who's our guy. So there's a huge Scottish legacy there. And I'm biracial. I'm 50 million racial. Ancestry DNA. I've got like 13 different ethnicities, and my largest one is actually Scottish, 35%. So that's my nuanced.
That
So
explains
basically,
that
I
explains
know
your
more about. Yeah,
bitter negative outlook on things.
yeah, such a horrible. I know more about what's best about United than their best fans. Their best fans right now don't know the stuff that I just said. It's hilarious. So they are literally just trolls who are somehow were following a team that was winning everything, and now they have nothing to show for it, and they're so bitter. It's hilarious. It's like they're cursed.
Well, yeah, they do seem cursed. I don't know if you saw recently that they cut off Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, bro. Oh yeah,
So he was getting like
is it real?
a million or 2 million a year just to be like Sir, just to for
Ambassador.
what he did, what he created, and they're like, oh, can you just stop taking that money? But I don't know. I
Did
don't
you
know
see
the
about the
details.
jet? Did they ask Man City for like, hey, do you got room
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
jet?
yeah. They were
Is
asked
that real? We need to
to
check.
go to the Ballon d'Or. They asked. I did hear someone saying that this is a normal thing to join.
Okay.
It wasn't as ridiculous as it sounded, but it was funny that they wanted their two Garnacho and someone else to go to the Ballon d'Or. They asked if they could catch a ride on Manchester City's plane, and City was like, "Oh no, we don't got space. We got too many people going."
Hilarious, man.
But anyway, so the point with cutting off Sir Alex, Ineos taking over, it is like a new era is trying to get created here. I think they stumbled massively by keeping Erik ten Hag on
Oh,
uh, for the after the FA Cup win because he was just horrible all season. and it was just a big mistake in my opinion. But everybody agrees, so it's nothing new. Of course, Chelsea fans were not happy when they sacked him right before our game because we're like, oh come on,
Yeah.
and we have not won a game in at Old Trafford since 2013. The last time Chelsea won a game there, Alex Ferguson was the manager.
Holy cow!
So through this whole
They
horrible
won the title
period,
that year.
it's pretty wild. So people were eager. They're like, okay, we finally got a great chance. Now you've got the new manager bounce. Well, not really new manager bounce, but you've got we got rid of Erik Ten Hag, ETH bounce, and you can see midweek they did very well with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy's much more positive person, and you can see like players probably are much happier to just have some freedom and have a different manager. They were also trying to prove themselves to Emery, who were coming in. As far as I know,
I was
he's
gonna
not
say, is that confirmed?
he's not coming until after the next international break. But
Yeah, we were looking at him. He's good. I was
yeah,
excited.
everybody's been looking at him. Some Chelsea fans have been trying to get him for 3 years. Like people have been, he's a hot new topic. So I think unfortunately he might turn Manchester United around. On the flip side, they have so many horrible players still. So I can't. Well, all right, let's go into. So the pre-match that was a long preview for the pre-match analysis,
Good.
but I still think we just have a much better team, much more solid team. If we can play our game, um, we're gonna have a better, smoother attack. Our defense is still shaky, but it's getting better. And there's a big question who's going to play because Reece James will be playing, of course. Levi Colwill. Fofana is expected to be fine, but he was really holding his knee a lot last week after the game. And then the question is Cucurella or Gusto. And Cucurella has been amazing. He's just been an amazing player for 6-8 months. And people who didn't see that at Chelsea saw that in the Euros where he was phenomenal on Spain. And he's been great. But he was one of the two players, him and Fofana, who got the 6 yellow cards first and couldn't play the Liverpool game. And after that, because he wasn't in the Liverpool game, he played midweek, and then he didn't play on the weekend. Gusto played, and James came back. And so it seems like that might be what Maresca's sticking with now. Gusto, who's been amazing. I mean, he's possibly my favorite player on Chelsea. I mean, it's hard not to say Palmer and Jackson, but Gusto's amazing. This guy, he's got class. So it's been a big question when Reece James comes back. Who's playing on defense? Like, how is this going to work? Is Gusto going back off, even though he's done so well? Is Cucurella somehow not going to play when he's been top tier? The center is more clear, like Colwill and Fofana. It's a different position. So it's a big question mark, but I think he's going to play Gusto. So anyway, but whatever it is, we have solid, great defenders at the moment. As long as Fofana's fine, he's the shakiest of them. I sort of don't know if he'll last long term because he seems to always have a bit of a slip up or just something missing. But he's still a quality player. Anyway, so if we can hold defensively, that's sort of the biggest question. Going forward, we've got magic, and we should be able to tear apart their defense, in my opinion. The one last thing I will comment for now is, Palmer is from Manchester, and his team as a kid was Manchester United. Rooney, he loved Rooney. He also said he loved Hazard and whatever, but I think Rooney was his favorite player, and he went to Manchester City because they had a much better youth program. His dad was. He's talked about in an interview where his dad was like, "Well, I know we're Manchester United fans, but they have a much better program over here." So that's why he went to City. But he's got it's going to feel normal for him to be in Manchester. It's going to feel comfortable. So if he's comfortable and he's like in his element, he's going to destroy Manchester United. So I'm feeling confident. Because of our record there not being great, maybe you could think they're gonna pull and the bounce from Erik ten Hag leaving, maybe they'll pull out a draw or even a win. But I still put my money on Chelsea. I'll go with a 3-1.
Okay. Well, you were really hyping up, oh, Liverpool should definitely beat Brighton. But just to put this in perspective, goals per match, Brighton has 1.8 goals per match, and that's 16 goals. Manchester United only has zero point 0.9 goals per match
I know, but this
for
was with
a total of
Erik
8.
ten Hag.
So I do think there's going to be a new manager bounce, but you should be way stronger. But the fact you haven't beat him since 2013, and it's not like you haven't had a million managers, you have. So no matter what manager you have, some of those probably were new manager bounces on your end, and it didn't matter. So I think Man United's going to
Well,
turn up.
on the attacking side, what do you think? What do you think Manchester? Do you think they can score multiple goals on us?
I don't. I think it's going to be 2-2. They're going to turn up, do the best game they've ever done, which is going to be really freaking annoying for you guys. And I think that you're not going to be able to handle because you're not used to, nobody's used to Manchester United actually attacking and doing anything. So we don't really know what to expect. And it's going to be from some player who finally steps up because Van Nistelrooy gave him a chance. It's going to be some wonky thing. But I'm big on history. Like 2013 is 11. You should have never told me that. That changes everything. If I didn't know that, I would say,
Dude, dude,
United can't score. You're definitely going to blow them away. But now that you told me that, I'm like, no, bro. Like, it's not happening tomorrow. It's new manager bounce or interim manager bounce. And yeah, you shouldn't have told me
it,
that stat.
in the
2-2.
pre-match press conference like an hour ago, the journalist asked Maresca or mentioned this and asked him something about like could this be whatever, and Maresca immediately turned to someone on the side who's like is that for real? Is that true? Like he didn't believe it. He wanted to make sure that was a and the guy immediately said like yeah. He was like oh he started laughing sort of like oh my wow that's crazy. Like how do you not have won here in 11 years? You're Chelsea, but I don't know. We'll see. It's a new era, so things can change. But
Everybody's going to keep saying that now. A new era. Thanks, Eric Ten Hag.
I will say we have some recent history, which makes it even more interesting because last year in the rain in London, they they were beating us 3-2, and it was like a basketball game. It was a crazy game. Neither team was doing well last season, of course, and it was sort of a case of like, man, if they lose to Manchester United at home, Poch might be gone after this game. And Palmer came through, scored two late goals, had a hat trick, and one, right at the end of the game, scored two goals. Like he got a penalty. I think someone drew a penalty, and took a penalty. Then there was a cross, and like the ball, like last second kind of, it crossed into Palmer. Palmer sets up, just blasts the ball toward the goal, deflects off of Dallo or someone, and goes into the goal. And this was his favorite game of last season. Getting a hat trick against Manchester United, winning the game winner in the rain. Like this was a crazy big game. So these guys are going to remember that the Manchester United guys, and they're going to want revenge, for how we just sort of ripped that game away from them at the last minute. Yeah. So I don't know, but I just think we have a much. I think our attack will be able to get through their defense easily a few times. I hope. And that they only have so much. Like maybe they could get two goals on us if they're really on top of things. But I don't know. They had 5 midweek. Ruud van Nistelrooy's there. I'm nervous. Everybody's like, oh, what the heck? Why can't we have Erik ten Hag?
Did they hit 5 in the midweek?
Yeah,
Oh.
5-2 against Leicester. They were flying, dude. They were flying.
Dude, I didn't even know that. That corroborates what I'm telling you.
Dude, they were flying. But the only hope was like, okay, they got that out of their system.
No, bro. They had 2.95 XG. They had 23 shots.
Yeah, Casemiro hit like a worldie from out way from just all these players who have
He
looked
scored
dead.
twice.
Yeah, these players who have looked dead like came to life, and you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck?
Oh my gosh. How happy are they?
Yeah,
Fernandez twice. Casemiro twice. Garnacho. Dude, this is one of the biggest.
yeah.
Wow.
Check the highlights for that game. The Casemiro goal especially, but check the highlights for that game. It's they're smiling. Anyway, so that's it. Those are our. I think. What did you go with? A 2-2?
I went with the 2-2, and that's giving you guys a lot of credit because I think you have to consider this a tough away game.
Oh yeah.
This is not a shoe-in. This is a very tough away game. And I didn't even know about the 5-2. Like, that super confirms what I'm saying. How do you think they feel after that? They're not going to come into this game and do 0.9 goals. The 0.9 goals is a BS stat. The 0.9 goals is Erik ten Hag.
I know. I'm telling you, as soon as you started saying that, I'm like, that's not relevant. Erik ten Hag is gone. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. It's like it was like, what the heck? You could have fired him so many times. You're gonna do it right before our game. This is trash. At least Amorim won't be in, but at the same time, if Amorim came in, he'd have a whole different system they'd have to be learning right away. In this case, Van Nistelrooy just tweak a few things, happy players, play free, and it's a whole different team now. So, and I mean, they all seem horrible, but when every player seems horrible, you know it's from the coaching down. Like
exactly, these players aren't
Garnacho, Rashford, Fernandez. You've got players.
You do. If Klopp coached that team, bro, like it would be scary. Like I would think that about them all the time. That's what, if you play FIFA, until very recently, they were one of the best teams in FIFA. And it'd be so annoying because they'd be sucking in real life. But when somebody's controlling them in the video game, it's like, oh, it's freaking Man United, 5-star team. Until he made them so bad that now they're not that great, finally. But yeah.
Yeah, well, so final thoughts. What are your thoughts on where Manchester United could go with Amorim in the rest of the season? Or wait till after this match to think about that?
I think that good managers go there, do okay, and ultimately can't overcome how bad everything is.
Yeah.
The owners are clearly horrible. The entire club is poisoned from the top. There's clearly something going on inside of that organization that produces crap, corrupts, and reduces. So instead of getting the most out of everybody, it actually gets worse than you expect out of everybody. Like, De Gea has been a prisoner. He was a prisoner there.
Did you see his response?
No.
As soon as Erik ten Hag was fired, he had there was a black background and just this Italian, the hand. It was just that and a black background as soon as he was fired. De Gea on Instagram or somewhere. So, I mean, there's so many people happy he's gone, but like you said, it predated Erik ten Hag. Has been every manager since Sir Alex Ferguson. The difference is they are trying to change a lot with Ineos taking over the control. The Glazers really are not involved now. Like, I mean, they weren't involved anyway, but now Ineos is trying to bring it back to life, and Amorim could be the manager who's able. I mean, he's a really. He's achieved great things. It's not like Erik ten Hag coming from Ajax, where it's like coming from Ajax or PSG or Bayern is like you don't really know what level because you have the talent, you have the team that you should win. Right. Amorim has achieved a lot with Porto, who's like traditionally the third team.
Yeah.
I mean Sporting, sorry.
Yeah, I knew you meant
Sporting, who's traditionally the third team behind Porto and Benfica. And so he's actually achieved a lot not being at the top of like the league leading team. So I think I personally think he could really turn around Manchester United for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson. I think with Garnacho and Rashford's just such a wild card. I don't know.
Just remember, coaches don't turn teams around. It's owners. And then hiring a coach is part of that. So it really is still on Ineos.
But they did hire him instead of Gareth Southgate or someone else. There were a lot of traditional names thrown out there, Thomas Tuchel or whatever. I mean, I think going with Amorim is sort of like the first mark they're really making. Yeah.
I hope that they don't get it right. They're a big club. They're a giant. They won't stay dead forever. That's how I felt when I became a Liverpool fan. It was nice not to support one of these absolute top teams. It was nice to support a team that had history. And the feeling I had was, we're a giant. We're going to come back. And we did. We did.
Let's end with that as some initial history. When did you become a Liverpool fan?
2005.
Where was Liverpool at the time?
They finished fifth. They were not going to qualify for Champions League the following year, but they won the Champions League. Istanbul, maybe the greatest Champions League final ever. Gerrard played every position.
Maybe the greatest final ever.
No, that's not blowing smoke. You need to look it up. We were
I
losing
know.
3-0 to AC Milan at halftime.
Yeah.
And we
No,
came
that's
back.
fair. That's fair. I just it's just funny because
I'm
you're
really
living
not.
in.
It's not a marketing thing. I'm not doing the Steve thing. Like it really is considered maybe the greatest final of all time.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So it was nuts. So yeah, after that, and then there was a video called Gerard's 10 Best, and it was a 7-minute long video, and it starts with black and white, and it has a song from The Last Samurai, and it is just insane. And those goals, and that was in 2005, 2007 is when I saw that, and it just got
And then
yeah.
how long until you guys rose up the league again?
Well, we then competed for the league title in 2008, 2009. And then we competed for the league title again in 2013-14, the famous slip. We went to the Champions League final in 2007, lost to AC Milan, who we beat in 2005. So the period between 2009 and 2013-14, it got really bad. I mean, people, they'll be like, whenever she says I'm not loyal, and it'll show like a picture of the team sheet like during those years. And it was like really rough. There was one year we lost 3-0 to like West Brom or West Ham. Whichever it was so bad. I boycotted them and did not watch them for the rest of the year. And I made a
Oh,
YouTube video about it. I said I can't do this anymore.
oh my,
And then I came back the next year. So I'm just an emotional person. I couldn't handle it.
oh my. But yeah, but yeah, we've seen it with all these teams. You have bad periods, but Manchester United will come back. I mean,
Yeah, they will.
all right, but not this weekend. This weekend they're getting destroyed by Chelsea. This will
Yeah.
be the end of their banter era or whatever when we destroy them, and then Emery can come in and pick up the pieces. All right, peace out.
Peace out. 1907. Bye, guys.